If your opponent's king is stuck on the back rank and you are able to deliver the checkmate with the help of your rook and the bishop, then this checkmate is called as the opera checkmate in chess. Now, why is it called as opera checkmate? Well, there is a beautiful history behind this name. Opera checkmate was first delivered by the legendary chess player Paul Morphy when he was playing against two chess players, Duke Karl and Count Isouard. Paul was playing with the white pieces, and here he came to a very interesting position on the board. Black's king is stuck on the back rank. He hasn't castled it, and that's why he's extremely unsafe over here. White's pieces are actively placed in all the directions aiming at the black king. So what should white play over here? Is there a way that white can deliver the opera checkmate? Well, in order to deliver the opera checkmate, you know that this knight is getting in the way of the rook. So Paul found an amazing, brilliant sacrifice at this point of time. He played queen to b8 check. There is no way to block this check. So the two players were forced to capture this queen, after which Paul successfully delivered the opera checkmate. And since this game was played in the Opera House in Paris, this famous checkmate got its name from that place. Now let's look at another example. White's king is beautifully castled over here, and black's knight is threatening to capture on the f2 pawn and thereby forking all of these strong pieces of white. So what should white play over here? Should he get worried about this pawn capture, or is there something better to play? Now, since you know the opera checkmate, you know that the opponent's king is extremely unsafe over here in the middle of the board. You have a rook activated, a bishop activated, right? The rook is eyeing the d file. The bishop is ready to jump over here and deliver a checkmate. But what is coming in the middle? The queen. So is there a way you can get rid of your own queen? Well, here you can make a brilliant sacrifice. Queen to d8 check. King takes queen is forced, and now bishop to g5 check. It's a double attack on black king. So there is no way that black can block this check or get rid of any of the attacking pieces. So black is forced to play either king to e8 or king to c7. If he plays king to e8, then rook d8 is a classic opera checkmate. And if king decides to go on the c7 square, then the checkmate can be delivered by the bishop. Isn't this a lovely checkmate pattern to try? So let's see if you can deliver opera checkmate in the upcoming puzzles. So let's head on to the puzzles section because it's puzzles time. Now here is the first puzzle. Look at this interesting situation on the board. White is terribly down in material over here, but it is white's turn to play, and white has got just one chance to turn the tables in his favor. So can you find the winning moves for white over here? I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to think, but if you need more time, well, feel free to pause this video. So you have the rook and the bishop activated over here. So how do you deliver the opera checkmate? It's simple. Bishop takes bishop check. It's a double check. So the king has to move, and the only place he will go is the b8 square. And now rook to a8 is checkmate. I'm sure most of you must have been able to solve this. So let's move on to a slightly tricky one. Here it is black's turn to play. What should black play over here? Well, this one is easy too. You know that your rook and bishop are ready to deliver this opera mate, but you really need to get rid of this knight over here, which is blocking the path of your rook. So, how do you get rid of the knight? Well, with a beautiful sacrifice. Queen to c1 check. Knight takes queen is forced, and now rook e1 is a beautiful checkmate. Now let's move on to a slightly tricky puzzle. Here, white is up in material and it is white's turn to play. So, what should white play over here? Should he capture this free knight over here, or is there something better to play on the board? Well, the ultimate goal of any chess game is to either make your opponent resign or checkmate his game. So, you should not waste your time in capturing this free knight because your rooks are doing a very good job on controlling this key square, which is the b8 square, and a checkmate can be delivered over here. So, what do? Well, in order to activate your bishop on this diagonal, we will have to get rid of this pawn. So, d7 check is the correct answer. Since king cannot take this, rook is forced to take this pawn. And now, what do we play next? Should we waste time in capturing any of these? Of course not. just deliver the final blow with rook b8 check. Knight takes rook is forced, and now rook takes knight is a beautiful checkmate. Now let's move on to the last puzzle, and here you will have to think like the famous chess player Aaron Nimzowitsch. Aaron was playing with the white pieces here, and it was his turn in the game. He's terribly down in material by 6 points, but if you find the right move, you can completely turn the tables. Let's see if you can think like Aaron. So what should white play over here? Well, let's activate the bishop first. So bishop takes knight check. If pawn takes bishop, then queen d8 would be a checkmate. Notice this bishop cannot capture this queen because it's currently pinned by this rook over here. So therefore, black cannot capture this bishop. So what will black play? Black has only move, which is king to f8. And now, how do you proceed? Queen to d8 check. Yes, we are going to sacrifice our queen. Bishop takes queen, and now, because the path has been cleared, rook to e8 would be a deadly checkmate. Like this video and subscribe to my channel if you loved watching this video. And now don't go away because it's time for the question of the day. Here is the question of the day for you, and it's a very easy one. Why to play and win? Let me know your answers in the comments box, and I'll see you in the next video.